Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far. So I have in my hands all of the new goodies from the Charlotte Tilbury holiday collection. I have her new eyeshadow palette and I have all of the lip shades. So we're just going to play with everything, try it all out and do some swatches, and I can share my initial thoughts on this gorgeous collection from Charlotte Tilbury with you. So first up we have this Instant Eye Palette, Smoky Eyes Are Forever. This is a limited edition 12 pan eyeshadow palette. It combines 6 magical formulas from magic matte and soft shimmer to metallic sparkle and fluid metal to intensify, define and illuminate the look of your eyes this holiday season. And at the moment it comes with a free mini eye brush. And then we have the brand new Limitless Lucky Lipsticks. These don't appear to be limited edition. It doesn't say anywhere that it's limited edition. And they claim to give you a light as air feel with an ultra matte finish. Longwear lipsticks with transfer proof, bold colour and a precise application lasting up to 16 hours. These are available in 5 shades. So we have Berry Lucky, a Rosewood Red, Everlasting Blossom, a Dusty Rose, Love Flame, a Tawny Orange Red, Red Wishes, a Poppy Red, and Cherry Dream, a Cherry Ruby Red. Also in this collection, there is currently an offer that includes the advent calendar along with the eyeshadow palette and the free mini brush. And just today, you were also able to purchase the advent calendar just on its own without the eyeshadow palette and the brush if you didn't want that for a cheaper price. Okay, so I'm going to start off with this first prime shade. If you haven't used Charlotte Tilbury's palettes before, she arranges them into these sets of 3 shadows. So each of these is a look. So this is Love Eyes, these 3. Then we have Power Eyes. Then we have Happy Eyes and then Confident Eyes. And each of these is designed, or Charlotte suggests to use this by priming with the first shade, using this middle shade as an enhanced shade, so that's designed to go on the lid and lower lash line, and then this is your smoke shade. The third shade is your smoke shade to add like depth and dimension on the outer V. So yeah, sometimes that makes sense to use it that way. I'm not sure it makes sense with this look down here, because that would mean putting this all over the eye, this on the lid and smoking out. So that's not how I would use that trio. And this shade for me is just going to be too light really for me to use in any way other than as like a brow arch, like highlight on my brow bone, or maybe in my inner corner to give it a little bit of a light there. As you can see, it's not really going to work as a sort of transition shade. I could also use this to sort of set the eye. It would be perfect in that way, but if you have fairer skin you may get a bit more of an impact out of that shade. So next up, this is the shade, this middle shade from Love Eyes. Oh, that's quite a crumbly one, so you have to be careful. I don't want a lot of fallout. So that's then to go all over the lid, and it would go on my lower lash line. I'm not going to do my lower lash line on these first 2 looks just because I have to wipe all this off and start again with the next 2 looks, and I don't want to rub my under eye area. I don't want any wrinkles that weren't going to already be there, you know. I'm just trying to minimize as many of those as possible, not make more for the sake of eyeshadow, you know, that would be a mistake. So this is very pretty. I'm not sure this third shade is really gonna be a smoke shade for me, but we can but try. That's what Charlotte said. So this third shade, we're going to use this again, quite a loosely pressed sort of crumbly shade. Oh, that's pretty. I mean, I'm not sure this is like a smoke shade in the sort of traditional sense of the word. It's not adding like it's not creating a smoky eye, but it is definitely giving me like, it's bringing the flames, isn't it? Not the smoke. It's bringing the gorgeous, pretty sparkle. That's a very pretty look there. For me, I'd want to do something in the crease. Like maybe I'd use this shade here, this matte, very lightly. Let's tap that off and see how this just brings that together in the crease. For me, I like a little something in the crease, but that was a very easy, pretty, soft little look there to start off with. And now we move on to Power Eyes, which I think for probably a lot of us is the look in here that we're most excited about. If you notice anything weird, like I feel like this looks a bit grey up here. And the reason being is that I actually filmed this already, and well, I thought I did, but I in fact did not. I made that very professional mistake of not pressing the red button, you know. That old chestnut, how we laughed, and we had to start again. So if anything looks a bit grey, it's because I had to wipe all of this off as best I could and start again. But it's all fun and games around here, around these parts. So this is blending very nicely. This is a lovely matte, really nice sort of cool tone khaki. Khaki is, would that be the right description? I think so. That's what I'm going with. And now this makes sense to me. This being your sort of prime lid shade, smoke shade, it makes sense. So I'm gonna 100% back that suggestion from Charlotte there. Some of these shades are a little crumblier. You could obviously use a finger. They might make a bit of mess using them how I am, but I am a creature of habit. I do like a brush. I don't really like to use setting spray or a finger, especially if I'm reviewing something, because I just want to see how they work without like too much help. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of kickback and fallout, which are all things that don't bother me, just kind of to be expected with the more sparkly shades. This is lovely. This is definitely going to be, I think, my favourite in the palette. Certainly so far this is like gorgeous. Again, I'm not going to go onto my lower lash line and kind of finish this look off just because I've got to wipe it off. We haven't time today, you know, we've just got to kind of move on to the next look, but I think this is a gorgeous look. These greens, if you are a green lover like me, this is going to be the highlight of the palette for you, I think. Just very easy. I find Charlotte Tilbury shadows and just palettes in general are very user-friendly, very beginner-friendly. There is a bit of fallout here. Usually I do my eyes first, so that doesn't really upset me, but maybe it upsets you, and you know, that's allowed. Your feelings are valid. So these are the first two looks. So we have Love Eyes and Power Eyes. No issues so far. A little bit of fallout, nothing that's kind of not to be expected. Maybe I'll dab a little. Ooh, that's nice. Finger on here, see how that just adds a little bit of a pop if you want to do that. And the same thing, let's try that on Love Eyes. Such a pretty halo eye that you can make very easily with that look. Very, very pretty. So far, so good. Okay, so we're moving on now to Happy Eyes. This is another one where I just feel like, I'm not sure we're doing this in the right order, but I'm going to go with it. Again, a lot, like quite a crumbly shade, so just one to be a bit careful with. Oof. That's pretty, very pretty, very pretty. Wow, it just looks so much prettier than I thought it was going to. I didn't really think that was going to be a shade I would love so much, but it's very, very beautiful and metallic. Wow, love that one. So next, the Enhance shade, so that's to go on the lid. So this is another one where I'm like, is this correct? Is this what we're definitely doing? But you know, I'm doing what I'm told. Oh, that's just like a sunset. Very pretty indeed. So I am going to do this one under the lower lash line because this is going to be the last look on this eye. Oh, that looks pretty under there. This is literally like a sunset on the eye. Very pretty. Maybe I'll take a bit more of that first prime shade and then kind of bring it up a bit. Loving Life. And then the Smoke shade, the matte, in this little trio. This is the one I used very lightly in my crease earlier. This is super pretty. This is such a Charlotte Tilbury look. I feel like these sort of peachy shimmers, gorgeous. Just don't feel like you need to do too much when Charlotte Tilbury's in town. You know, everything is just a little extra. So I'm just going to show you this shade now, how I would use it and see how it works. Yeah, so this is like a great brow art shade for me. That's how I'm going to use this one. And then let's put this shade down here, this first Smoke shade on the inner corner. Very pretty. Love it. And then finally Confident Eyes, and I'm definitely not doing what I'm told down here. I'm going to start off with the middle shade, and I'm going to use this in the crease. Then we'll use that shimmer on the lid. So they're kind of going, well, no, this shade, I mean this middle shade is supposed to go all over the lid, and that's just too scary for me. I refuse. I'm too terrified. But this is what we're doing, and I'm so sorry, I'm not doing as I'm told. Send me to Tilbury jail. So this little number here, the final shimmer to try. Oh, I'm excited about this one. Oh, okay. Wow, that looks so different in the pan to on my eye. This is going to be a much smokier look, you know, than I initially thought, because it's actually much kind of darker. See, Charlotte Tilbury shadows can really surprise you. Much darker and less shimmery actually on the lid than it looks. So actually maybe it would work the way that she wanted me to use it, but still I'm not sure about this middle shade all over the lid, is what I'm saying. But you know, not as scary of a concept as I initially thought. And then this black, which didn't swatch great, but I don't find blacks actually just any kind of really deep shade. Just don't really. Obviously you could use this as a liner. I'm just going to use it very, very sparingly, and I'm going to go back into that middle shade just to blend these together. I feel like that black is a little bit tricksy. Seems, I don't want to say patchy, but it's just a little less kind of smooth than the other shades. I'm not loving this look, to be honest with you. I won't lie. It's just not my, it's fine. It's just not my style. It's a bit too dark for what I prefer. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this shade down here on the top, because I think that'll be glorious. Thought so. That's just what it needed, I feel like. It just needed an extra bit of bling to the party. Make that back again with that middle shade. And then I'm going to call upon that first matte from Lovelies just to brighten up that brow arch there. Much better. I'm going to look bonkers at gymnastics in a little while, but you know, what's new? Put a little bit of this shade in the inner corner again. I think that's a great inner corner shade, that. A little bit of mascara, also Charlotte Tilbury. Here's the final looks. Definitely salvaged this one a bit. It just wasn't really like my cup of tea. This one I think is gorgeous. It's just like a very understated, beautiful little sunset is what it reminds me of. Just gorgeous. It's like a wearable orange kind of look, much more like muted than like the Circa Loco orange is. So if you like that kind of really summery peachy orange, this is a palette that's going to work, I feel like, all seasons. This is definitely a smokier number than I typically go for, but I was able to wear it, make it much more wearable for me by just using a couple of other shades in the palette. But everything performed beautifully. The black was just slightly tricky for me. Blacks are quite tricky generally, but not dramatically so. And that one for me is probably one that would be really great as a liner or just to smudge out the lash line, tight line, that kind of thing. So yeah, let's move on to lips. So first up we have Cherry Dream. Well, they glide very smoothly. The bullet is really nice and precise as well. Classic cherry red. Gonna make your teeth look super, super bright. Very like holiday, festive, gorgeous. It's interesting. We'll see how they dry down. At the moment, they have quite a satin finish to me. They're not glossy, but they do have like a sheen to the finish. They're not flat, flat matte, which I was a bit scared about because that's just not my typical preference of a lipstick, but very comfortable. Made a complete hash of it. I definitely would probably need a liner with this shade because I'm just not that skilled. Next up we have Everlasting Blossom. Very pretty, everyday shade for me. Very romantic, you know. Bit less scary than some of the other shades. If you don't like reds or really bright colours, this is definitely a more wearable one, but definitely kind of falling on like the rose spectrum. Kind of reminds me of maybe like the Pillow Talk Intense. Next we have Red Wishes. I'll try and be a bit neater this time. Famous last words. I mean, that was not bad, was it? Be honest, that was not bad. No liner with such a bright red. That was, yeah, not bad. Definitely achievable, but not easy. I'd say it's pretty, it is quite precise and it has a lovely shape, the bullet, but with these kind of really bright, and there is a lot of pigment, they are completely opaque. It's just an impossibility to me. I don't know, maybe there's people out there who are much better at this than me, but yeah, a decent job. Barely any transfer. I know these claim to be transfer proof. Obviously this has only just gone on. I'll leave the last one on a little bit longer and we'll see how it truly dries down. This one seems a little more matte than the first one. Actually, the second two seem a little more matte. So Everlasting Blossom and Red Wishes, definitely a bit more of a matte versus the first Cherry Dream, which I feel like had a bit of glow to the finish. I definitely say this one is like a matte, like a true matte holiday red. Yeah, see that second kiss, barely anything. So these are going to be definitely some long wearing lipsticks. Perfect for Christmas parties. You get to go to one. It's not just you and your cat. Next up we have Love Flame. This is a lovely shade, very autumnal, I'd say. A bit less red, more orange. Really, really pretty. Very comfortable. And another one that is like matte, mattedy matte, mattedy matte, 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 matte. As mad as it gets. Feels very smooth and comfortable though, you know, and I'm really not seeing like a real exaggeration of lines either, which is really nice. They still actually, my lips still look quite nice and full despite it being a matte. Obviously you could put gloss over the top of these if that's not your jam. Don't worry lippies, this is the last one. Very Lucky. That is gorgeous. I feel like it's got enough like vamp about it, but it's a bit more of a wearable vamp. Do you know what I mean? Does that make any sense to anyone but me? I really like this shade. Again, very like autumn, winter, perfect. Some staining around here, to be expected when you wipe 5 lipsticks all over your face. But you can be quite precise with that lip. I mean, I would probably use a lip liner because some of these shades are quite dark or quite deep or intense. So for me, I love the guidance of a lip liner, but this is not bad at all, given that it's, you know, a deep, rich shade. So yeah, you definitely can get a precise application out of them. They feel very comfortable. They don't feel dry or heavy. Very lightweight, completely agree with that. Kiss test, rich shade, only just gone on. Not much transfer at all. Let's try that again at the end of the video. But yeah, so far these feel lovely. Some lovely shades in there. Maybe would have loved to see some nudes though. So let's talk first about this eyeshadow palette. I really enjoyed this. I think this is such a versatile palette. If you have a ton of Charlotte Tilbury palettes, do you need this one? Does it offer you something you definitely don't have? Probably not. You know, if you've got all of her previous holiday releases, if you have like Rebel Eyes, then you're going to have the Power Eyes section covered. You know, if you've got the Fire Rose, you've probably got these shimmers in here. You know, if you have her previous Smoky Eye palette, then you've got these. You know, this is probably covered by the Pillow Talk palette. So yes, if you own a lot of Charlotte Tilbury palettes, I do think there's a lot of shades in here that you probably already own. But as a palette by itself, I really like this packaging. I think it's very, like the black is very chic. I guess it's black. Is it black? I think it's black. Right? Not like a very dark blue or something. I think it's black. I think it's very nice and chic. I love that these palettes are so thin because they just store beautifully. For me, that's like, that's just a me thing, but I love a palette that doesn't take up too much space. I found every shade in here works very well. This shade is too light for me to use as any kind of transition or anything, but I can absolutely use it to set my lid. I can use it as a brow arch highlight, and every other shade I will get lots of use out of. The black was maybe the one that was just not as easy and as light to blend as the others, but I think that's just the nature of blacks, and I didn't necessarily find it problematic. It was just needed a little more care and attention. There's definitely quite a few sort of looser metallics in here that will give you some fallout and maybe have that more crumbly texture, so you may want to use a finger. It didn't cause me a huge issue, but it's just something to be aware of. But I was really happy with all 4 of my looks. I really enjoyed all of them. I wanted to tweak this one a little bit, as you saw, just these 3 shades for me, given that this one turned out to be just different to what I expected. I wanted to add a couple of other shades for my preference, but otherwise a lovely palette, really, really nice and versatile. You can get, you know, very, very soft, pretty, light, simple looks out of it, or you can go full on smoky eyes. So I really like that about it. As far as comparisons, I don't have the palette from 2 years ago. That is the one that I think people were saying this is kind of almost like a dupe for or a repeat of. This is last year's holiday palette. So last year's palette is at the top and this year's is at the bottom. They definitely look pretty different to my eye. There may be a couple of shades that have a similar vibe about them, but yeah, they're definitely not exactly the same. And then we have the Pillow Talk palette at the top and the new palette on the bottom. I mean, not really similar. Again, a couple of shades you could pull out as being similar. Obviously Pillow Talk has way more mattes and is much more sort of soft, everyday, subtle natural looks, and there's a lot more fun on the bottom, I would say. So I think it's a lovely little palette, really enjoyed playing with it, especially love Power Eyes in there, but I don't own the Rebel palette, so I don't really have these colours from Charlotte Tilbury. You may have, and that may make it an easy pass for you. So now on to these lippy doos. What do I think? Now this lipstick now has been on, I'd say, let's say 5 minutes, not that long. Oh my god, there's like next to nothing. So okay Charlotte, I see you. Okay, so they really are transfer proof, and I'm impressed. I absolutely agree that these are very, very lightweight. Does not feel like I have a lipstick on, especially given that this is a very matte lipstick and a very opaque lipstick, and I don't feel like I'm wearing lipstick, which is fantastic. Love that. That is quite an unusual occurrence, I would say. My lips don't feel dry, don't feel heavy, don't even feel like they have anything on them, and yet we're rocking a bold lip today. So I like that. I love the little packaging. I know lots of people love these sort of slimmer bullets because they're very, you know, front pocket friendly, purse friendly, so I think that's great. The packaging does feel a little weightier than, say, her Superstar lips, and certainly weightier than her Hyaluronic Happy Lips, Happy Kiss, Hyaluronic Happy Kiss, something along those lines. You know, the ones, the balms that don't wind down. These ones luckily do wind down, so I love that for us, because I hated the ones that didn't wind down. I like this packaging, this is nice. I did find it pretty easy given that I am hap-handed. I'm definitely not super skilled at getting a really lovely crisp line on a lipstick without a liner, so I managed it. You definitely can manage it, absolutely. I'm really impressed with these. I think they were much nicer than I kind of expected, given that it was a matte formula, which usually I am allergic to. So there you have it. I hope you found this video helpful, and I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.